Okay, let's begin with movie 2. You can see right here that I have on my handout the 5 lights up. Below it we're going to do what I refer to as the find edges. And on the find edges one, on the find edges one we are going to get closer to the PDF file, and you can see that you simply get rid of with a layer mask where an area of the fire hydrant is, and now on the next page you turn that into a find edges filter, then you composite it with the background layer, and then I do want you to add a hue and saturation and just adjust the hue and saturation of, you don't have to I guess, but mine did, I did. So what I'm going to do down here is to show you that I did attach a hue and saturation to adjust it. I don't care what your adjustments are, but the most important thing here is on the next one, I'm going to do 2 at one time for you. On the next one I want you to see how I just duplicated the layer and I named it Radial Blur. I used a zoom blur at 65. I'm going to kind of remember that, so I'm not going to come back to this PDF file. But then I added a layer mask which got rid of the right hand side of the image. Then I used a neon glow, and on the neon glow, refer to your handout, but it's -15 and 20 on the neon glow part, and then you oversaturate it. Okay, so let's try to remember all of that. Let me go back and kind of memorize that number that I just saw there. It was 65. Okay, that's on zoom. So let's go like this and quickly go back in here. Turn off the composite image, turn on the background image again, click on the background image and duplicate it. Let me minimize my screen back here so it doesn't get in the way of our viewability, and click back on this. Okay, on the background image here, let's go into Find Edges. And on Find Edges, we are going to create a mask on it that is going to get rid of the image. But before I do that, let's go into the filter, Find Edges, right here, Stylize Find Edges. And on Find Edges, just leave it alone, it's fine, except we're going to do an adjustment layer in a little while. So I'm going to add a layer mask to that. Remember, foreground and background color will immediately switch to black and white, and you're going to be painting black on the layer mask. So look at what is selected where I'm circling. So hit your B key for the brush, toggle it with the brackets next to the P key, quite large, and then I'm going to go to a hardness of about 60 or 70, so I don't have a real soft edge, but I'm going to paint black, but not at 100%. Let me go to about 20% so I can minimize the amount of black. You know what? My Find Edges brush is a little bit too hard, so I'm going to go to about 50% and hit the return key. Okay, now I'm going to take away this portion of it right here, and then I think that's fine right there. And then I'm going to add an adjustment layer to the Find Edges filter, and it's going to be Hue and Saturation. I will adjust it to oversaturate. I want to darken the, I want to oversaturate the image. I want to change the hue slightly of the image. Notice the fire hydrant is changing, but I don't care because I'm going to clip it. The fire hydrant will not change after I clip it. And then I'm going to take the lightness down of that image because I want to get a little bit more gray involved in it. So I've got my numbers that I've done. Option click between the layers, as you see that I've done here, to option click and clip. And now I've got everything done the way that I wanted to composite the final image on this one. So if I want to quickly do a composite final image on this while it's here, might as well. I've told you that Shift Command T should work because I haven't stopped Photoshop since I did the last movie. So here's the rule. Am I selected on one layer? Yes. Are all the other layers off in visibility? Yes. Command A to select all, Shift Command C. I'm going to click way up to the highest layer and go Command V because it'll paste way up there. Now I'm going to turn off the other 3 layers below, and on this I should just go Shift Command T and it'll shrink to 40%. Hit the V key, kind of line it up with the other one like this, and then move it down, and then hit Command S to save the file. Alright, I'm ready for the next one. So I turn off the small ones. I'll double click this and I'll name it Small Edges. Now on Small Edges, let me once more hit Command S to save the file, turn on the background layer, and now we're going to do a radial spin blur. So I'm sorry, zoom blur. So let's double click this and name it Zoom. and I probably should name it something else, so but that's okay, I'm just going to name it Zoom. Zoom has two O's, Brian. And on Zoom, let's go up to Filter, Blur, and let's go into, I used a motion blur on it, and in motion blur, I did not use a motion blur. I used a radial blur. Did I? Yes, I did. I know I did. Okay, yes, I did. And I'm going to use the zoom here. And in zoom, I made it about 60, if I remember, 65 actually, I think I said. And I'm going to go to best quality and OK. And now that I have the zoom filter done, I'm going to add a layer mask, switching it from hit the G key for a gradient. I have to switch it to foreground to transparent. I don't want to be dealing with yellow and red. So let's click here and click up to foreground to transparent and say OK. And now in the G key, let's go over here and start inside the image and then work your way to the middle. So you can cut away some of that image below. Okay? Now here is what you have to do. Duplicate the background layer again. And in this one, call it neon. That's what I'll name it. I'm sorry, I should have made it be zoom and neon together. So in the neon one, I'm going to turn off the zoom, just leave the neon selected and the only visible layer, and go to Filter, Artistic, and Neon. Now in the neon glow, I want you to choose a magenta that is similar to this hue. I think I even wrote it in the thing. I have 36 cyan and 83 magenta, 0 yellow and 0 black. Okay, so I want you to go to some kind of magenta. I believe I did give you the coding in the PDF file, so I'll say OK. And the numbers are, let me cancel this because I want you to see something. I'll move it over here on screen. The numbers are -15 that I'm circling and 20. So make sure that everything is done that way. Let me double check the PDF file and see if the PDF file is exactly what I said. -15 and 20, and here are your numbers 36 and 83. So yes, I'm going ahead with what I said and everything is good. I'm going to say OK as long as my magenta is good. Now I wanted to slightly oversaturate this even though it looks really saturated. So I'm going to add an adjustment layer of hue and saturation to this and oversaturate it to about 40. Actually, that's too much. I'll go to 30 now that I see the oversaturation. That's fine. And now when I composite it, first I have to option click. So I only make that part of the neon layer and then turn on the zoom, and there is my composite layer on zoom and neon. So let's go now make a small layer. Am I selected on one of the layers? Yes. Is everything else off? Yes. Command A to select all, Shift Command C, and click up to the top and go Command V to paste. And now hit Shift Command T to make that one smaller. Turn off all the other layers. Shift Command T is I'll hit the V key for the move tool, and I will move this one up to the top and turn on my other one so I can get it pretty even with the other one. Hold the Shift key and just shift it over. Double click this one and call it Small Zoom and Neon. And that's what I would name it. Okay, so now I'm going to do the fourth one, and the fourth one, in my case, you can do anything you want to for the fourth one. Got it? I'll show you what I did in my case. For the fourth one, I went ahead and I did I used a pattern fill on mine. In fact, I'll just kind of read it. I used the diamond gradient for the layer mask, and the first filter was Stylize Extrude with a setting of 40 and a depth of 50. The adjustment layer was a pattern fill, and I chose a checker pattern. So I'm going to shift this over to my other screen so I don't kind of lose it, because I want to actually do what that just said. And let me just minimize this for one split second. Okay, good. And move it over. Good. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I am still working on the other screen. Let me move it over. I am having screen difficulties here. It's okay, Brian. You're okay. Okay, there we go. Now, on the zoom filter, go back here, duplicate the background layer, turn off all the little layers. Fine. Turn this, go like this. Now, let's go up here, and mine was Extrude, and I'll name it Extrude. Now on the extrude one, I said I used a diamond gradient for the layer mask. That was because I wanted it to go from the center out. So on the G key, as soon as I hit the G key, I could locate the diamond gradient, which is all the way to the end. Am I on foreground to transparent? No. So first I have to add the layer mask to the extrude layer. Now I'm going to go from the center out and just go like this, so I can eliminate a little, Command Z back a little bit farther like this. Okay, a little bit more actually, and a little bit higher. Good. Now on this one I'm going to use, didn't go far enough out. On this one I'm going to use, I'm getting picky. I am going to now, the first filter was Stylize Extrude for 40 and 50. So that was the layer mask that I used that on. Now I want to click over to the image, and on the image, okay, look at how I've selected the image, not the extrude. I'm going to use a filter of Stylize Extrude, and my thing was on blocks, and it was 40 for size and 50 for depth. So let me go 40 for size and 50 for depth. And I'll just do, I don't remember actually, to tell you the truth, solid front faces, and that's fine. Let me just see what this gives. I might come back and do not random. Actually, I like random because it was in random. Yeah, that's exactly what I did before actually. At least I'm consistent. So now that I've had this in here, the adjustment layer was a pattern fill, and I chose the checkerboard pattern. So what I want to do here is to add an adjustment layer of a pattern, and on the pattern fill I did not use this one. I used the checkerboard, and my scale was at, I think, 200%. Actually, I think it was at 100%, and then I changed it to 200%. Okay, that's fine. And now you can see how I have this right here. I'm going to now option click it just like this, and then I have one on the other. Okay, I'm sorry, it had to be a fill that was set up just like this. I had the pattern. I should have clicked to the layer below, which was the background layer, and made the pattern. So the extrude layer goes higher and the pattern layer goes lower. So that's all I needed to do there. I do not need to option click anything in this case. You might look at the handout. The handout has the extrude layer as the highest layer, but leave it as the lowest layer if you want to, or just play with anything you want to. This filter doesn't have to be what I just said. It can be anything that you want it to be. So now that I've got this done, we could make a small composite layer like I did before. So again, I'm selected on all the layers. That one layer is visible. All the layers are visible. I'm selected on one of the layers. Command A to select all. Shift Command C to copy merge. Click up to the highest layer. Command V to paste. Turn off all the other layers, and with that layer selected, Shift Command T to shrink it, and then I'll turn on all the other layers. This one would be named Small Extrude, and on Small Extrude hit the V key, and I would shift it and then shift it, and now this is the final version with the titles and a fancy background. So I'm going to click to this one, and now you can see how I've done the exact same thing. On this one here, you can see that I actually have, with the extrude layer, I had a pattern fill, and I didn't even need to on that one now that I realize it. The adjustment layer didn't have to be clicked to a pattern fill layer. As you can see, I did. There's more than one way in Photoshop to do something, so I did it just fine. I actually had one layer that I extruded, and there was another layer below it that I extruded. I had clipped an adjustment layer to it. I didn't need to. It was useless. So that's okay. Again, there's about 10 different ways in Photoshop to do the same thing. It has to be turned in, as I said before, like this. Now I made a layer folder of the text and a layer folder of my images with the background. This is my background element right there that I just made. I'll turn off the text. You can see it's just a reproduction of the neon glow filter, a little bit of a variance on it. and with my text and my other images showing this is my designed image, you can do multiple versions. Go on to the next assignment, please. Thank you.